Hey, we're so glad you guys are here. Ginger needs no introduction, as you guys know. Most of you guys know she is a dear, dear friend of mine and has been for years and has walked me through some super hard things and just has her own really hard things as well, but is able to manage the hard and still be so positive and just leads with gratitude and margaritas and stuff like that. Because sometimes you need both.
That's right.
She did buy a margarita machine last time we got together, so I'm just saying there might be some issues that we'll talk about at some point. But she has, from what I understand, last month, people just kind of peppered her with things that they're thinking a lot about. So she is going to take those and kind of break it into, she'll be here the first Wednesday of every month from 10 to 11. And she's going to do kind of what you asked for.
Yeah.
So we're just glad you're here.
Thank you, Brooke. Thanks, everyone, for coming back. Last time, in case you weren't here, just to give you a little intro, we talked about what's hard about being a human being in 2022. And you had great insights into what makes it hard to be a person of faith, a woman, just a human being in this crazy world we're living in right now. I mean, we're seeing so many things that are unique to humanity in our lifetime. And in our country especially. So we kind of have this front row seat to a lot of chaos. And then we have to check in with our nervous systems and our heart and our soul and God and say, how do we navigate this as compassionate, kind people that we want to be? And how do we not lose our minds in the process? So I took the feedback I got from you, and each month we're just going to chip away at it. And so I thought I would start with just a sense. I'm going to give kind of 5 tools today. We're going to talk about 5 different ways you could approach finding balance. And what I'm hoping is one of those really resonates with you and you can kind of take it away today and start to implement it in your life. But some of the stuff that is coming up for me and that I see with my clients right now is fall is such a busy time. And it's crazy how our society operates on this, kind of school schedule, and that everything starts in the fall. I know your church, you've launched a bunch of programs in the fall. We're getting kids back to school in the fall. Grandparents are taking over kind of schedules for working moms. It's just a busy, busy time. And I was driving yesterday and saw Christmas light advertisements going up. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't think about that yet. So that's why we're starting with balance, because I thought maybe if we work on this in October, we can slide into the holidays a little more sane this year. So we're going to give ourselves a month to practice before the big holidays start hitting. So I wanted to start with this talking about the people who need you, all the people in our lives that need us. So start thinking about all the people, just the people in your world. And here are some that came to mind that I thought of clients struggling with and myself. So coworkers, school moms, parents, your spouse's friends, the girls at the gym, the fundraiser committees, the neighbors that need you, your walking buddy texting every morning, are we going to go today? Your siblings, your church friends, your book club, your in-laws, right? This list could go on and on. Who else do you think of when you think of people in your lives? Who else needs you? Children's friends maybe isn't up there. Mm-hmm. What else comes to mind?
Pets.
Pets, for sure. How did I forget? You're the most demanding. Like, I want out now. Yes. Yes.
You have your parents up there?
Yeah, your parents. Your siblings. Yes. What else? Nieces and nephews, cousins. Who else needs you?
Anybody in your sphere that's struggling, things like that.
They need your struggling friends. They need you a little extra.
All the kids' sports.
All the kids' sports. That's not on there.
Coaches.
Oh my gosh, coaches. Yeah, snacks for the games. People need you. Yeah, where are the snacks? Where are the juice boxes? Is my uniform clean, dry? Yes. So just think of, for a second, just kind of put yourself in all the people you support, all the people that plug into you for energy, for wisdom, for guidance, for help, all the moving parts in your life. And we're going to use a tool that I call inner circles that just helps you. Every once in a while, I have to return to this tool of like, wait, where are my priorities right now? What's the triage, right? Who's bleeding? So I'm going to take you through an example of this, and then I want you to kind of do it personally this month. Think about this. Okay, so we have to have you at the center. And if your selfish came up from your inner critic, it's not true, because if you're not functioning, nobody is. And then I added God, which I just had you, and I was like, oh, we should probably bring God into this, and then we would be a little more sane. So you and God spending time together, you self-caring, and self-care doesn't mean just going to bed early. That means care about yourself as much as you care about everybody else. Hi guys, come on in. There's a couple of chairs. Yeah, no, you're great. I'm glad you're here. So caring for you is what we're talking about in the center of this. And you and God partnering together so you can take care of all your people. Okay? So the center circle should always be you and God and stillness and centering and grounding and caring for yourself, making sure your needs are met. We're going to talk about that in a second, of what are your needs after we go through this exercise. Okay, so that's your inner circle. The next one should be immediate needs. So I usually start with who lives in my house. Okay, those are my immediate people. So children, spouse, roommate, elderly parents that live with you, and we're just triaging. Who do I need to care for first? So notice those book club friends, the gym friends, the soccer coaches, all those people are not in this circle. All that noise, remember, we're going back a second. All this noise, all these people that need me, okay, we're gonna quiet it. We're going to you and God, and then children and spouse. Full stop, right there. You could stop right there. These are the people that need your energy, your care, your guidance, your love. Then if we have anything left, we'll go to the next one. And even with children, I find I kind of have to revisit which child is struggling, right? Which child needs me the most right now? And sometimes one child can almost kind of move out a little bit. They're good. They're in a good place. And then they come back and the other one moves out, right? And we do this dance. But this is a really important thing to work with your brain on, because your amygdala, the fear center in your brain, its job, full-time job, is to keep you safe. You're safe if all the people are happy in your life, right? Our brain feels safe, like, oh, we got everybody happy. Well, that's physically impossible. So we have to manage that amygdala to say, you know what, we're not going to take care for all the people. Right now, these 3 people need my attention, and we're starting there. That literally calms your brain down. You get in the driver's seat of your brain instead of your brain with that frantic first slide, okay? So you could stop right here. This is it. I have no energy for anybody else right now. If you have energy, we go out one more tier. My parents, my siblings, one friend. And this, you can switch this around. If your parents are deceased, who else would you move into that quadrant or that circle? This is to give you a feel for it. This isn't a claim on who's most important in your life, right? That's up to you. But where's the triage? Where's the bleeding? Who needs me most? One friend. So there's research on friendship done by Shannon Nelson, who found that most people report only really needing 1 to 2 friends in their life. That's all you really need. And we feel this pressure to have so many friends, right? I've got to keep all the balls in the air and everyone happy and answer all the texts and all the emails. True happiness, she found in her research, was when you have 1 or 2 people that really show up for you, really have your back, really know you and understand you. You don't have to manage all those balls in the air as much as we think we do. So I hope that comes as a bit of a relief, that research, because it gives you permission to just focus on one or two really deep friends. Brene Brown calls it your marble jar friends, and you only have a few marbles in there. Those are people that have earned your trust, that show up for you, that don't hurt you, don't drain you. Only a few marbles in her teachings. So just think about that, of when you're overwhelmed with all the people I need to contribute to, wait a minute, I really need to spend my time on earth with this core group of people. So what does that bring up in you when you hear that kind of information?
I think probably being the oldest here.
Mom.
I think the older you get, the more marbles you have.
Yeah, you've earned friends over time.
She's almost as old, and we have quite a few marbles we take care of.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would personally hate to cut it to 2 or 3.
Yeah. Okay, good. So that's serving you then. That's good. That's a good insight.
But I think age.
Yeah.
Because you make close friends in all the different stages
That's
of
right.
your life.
And it's beautiful. And you probably have the capacity at this stage of life to pour into friends a little bit more
Exactly.
than somebody with school-age
With
children.
kids.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's an important thing to consider too, is that at stages of life, these things change.
Right.
Yeah. And who do I have the capacity to pour into? Yeah, that's beautiful.
And I would say maybe like one friend for my age group, like one friend in each of those groups. 'Cause,
Great.
like you do want that school friend,
Yes.
that school friend mom to like
Yes.
run things by, or
That's
dance
right.
mom, or whatever your kids are in activities, or
That's
that
right.
church friend, or those different groups of.
I like that, Stacey. One core person in each group.
Yeah.
That's great. And that's who you kind of funnel your energy into or focus on. That's great. Yeah. What else comes up as you think about this?
It definitely feels way calmer, like that slide,
Yeah.
than the cloud slide. You know, it's just like boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, and these are just tools to help our brain calm down. That's really all this stuff is. Our tools to help our brain. And when our brain is calm, we can think clearly, our heart's not racing, we're physically healthier, and we actually have more motivation, we make better decisions. A calm, non-anxious presence is the goal, right? When we talk about inner peace as people of faith, that's really what it is. And these are tools to help us do that. Instead of just being told you should achieve it, I like to say how. Okay, so the next, oh dear. Yes, that's right. We're gonna figure this out quick. Okay, let me see. I think we were here. We will try again. Okay. We're getting out of the chaos. And we're going to this. Okay, so the next thing may be coworkers, in-laws, more friends. Maybe that's the next tier of soccer friends. You're getting the idea here. But stop and just take this in and use this as a tool. Every once in a while, I'll just put a circle on my page, on my to-do list, and that just means where are we starting today? Who needs me the most? And then we'll work our way out. And I'm gonna have to stop when the energy stops, right? And that's hard. I mean, that's what we're thinking about this month is balance and where's my tipping point. But I think exercises like this are really important to kind of just help our brain calm down. Okay. So that one's called Inner Circle Your Priority People. Okay, so to focus back on this, the idea of caring for yourself as much as you care for everyone else. I want you each to think about what is my recipe for thriving? What do I need? What does this body, this brain need to thrive? And maybe come up with just 3 or 4. These are ideas for you to prompt your thinking. But maybe just 3 or 4 things that is my recipe I need to make sure I do every day. And it might be like I sat outside, I moved or stretched my body, I ate something really nourishing, I drank extra water. This is a big one. How am I talking to myself? We talked about that last month a little bit, right? That's a huge one that I notice. If I am energy depleted, there's a direct correlation to beating the stuff out of myself. I forgot we were recording. If I am energy depleted, I've got to really look at how hard am I being on myself. How critical am I being of myself? And there is a direct correlation every time. Did I have a meaningful conversation with someone I love? How many days do we breeze through the day and we don't have a meaningful conversation with somebody we love, and we're never getting that day back? Right? Like, those are the precious moments to hang on to. So we have to make sure that's an ingredient in our recipe for the day. Comparison will drain energy more than anything. Talking to yourself unkindly and comparing yourself to others are huge energy drains. So, am I doing that? Did I have a thought as I was scrolling on Instagram about, wow, look what she's doing and I'm not? Almost daily, that's popping up in your and then it gets in your subconscious. And you start to tell yourself you're not doing enough. And then that tape gets louder and louder in your brain. Sleep is super important. And then what do I need? This is a beautiful morning practice. What would make today a good day for you, Ginger? And say your name. There's research on saying your own name, right? What would make today a good day for you, Ginger? Okay, let's make sure we do that. So what comes to mind for you? What's your recipe? What are 3 or 4 ingredients, or what makes for a good day for you? I want you to share it because then it gets in your brain a little deeper.
What about don't have Instagram?
Yeah, stay off of it. That's a beautiful gift to yourself.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful gift to yourself. Yeah, or have a certain time of day where you just check it once. And that's your Instagram 10 minutes.
I think some kind of exercise is important.
Yeah. Yes.
And whatever your choice is.
Moving your
running,
body.
Yoga, whatever.
Yeah,
I think
movement.
that's important
I do
every
too.
day.
Yeah, good. What else? Yeah.
I think seeing friends.
Yeah.
Very important.
Social. Yep. Good. What else feels like an ingredient for
I
you?
guess, I mean, for me, the best way I start my day is with exercise and meditation in that process, my prayer list, and that just gets my day started to
Beautiful.
do that. And then I feel like whatever happens after that may fall apart, but at least I've started my day.
Perfect, Lori. I love that. And that's a ritual. And the research on rituals, our brain loves rituals because it's predictable. And back to that, keeping us safe all the time, predictability. Our brain loves predictability. That's why children do so well with routines. Their brains calm down. Predictable feels safe. So if you know as soon as you wake up, that's your morning practice, that's a beautiful gift to your brain to calm it for the rest of the day. Beautiful.
Good hugs.
Good hugs. Oh, I love that one.
Or back scratches. My kids love
Yeah. Good hugs. Yeah. And that's releasing oxytocin, right? Which is such a feel-good chemical in our brain. That's beautiful. What else just makes for a good day for you? What's one thing?
Music.
Music. Perfect.
Coffee.
Coffee. Exactly.
Sunshine.
Sunshine. Yep.
Reading.
Reading.
When you're in the midst of it, just need to
Oh, breathe. Yes.
breathe.
Breathing. Yes. Yes. Yep. And a quick thing on breathing, because I think that's the number one go-to for our nervous systems to calm down. Your lungs are as big as your rib cage, right? So imagine filling up your lungs all the way down to the bottom of your rib cage. That's how deep a breath should be. When you think about how long that takes and what that takes physically to do, you realize we don't do it very often, right? But that's the oxygenating breath. Our brain needs it. Our organs need it. So just kind of sometimes when you're breathing, just touch the bottom of your rib cage and think, oh my gosh, that balloon should be filled that far. Yeah. What else makes for a good day?
I love wearing my favorite scent because it follows you all day.
Oh, I
know
love
it
that. A
just-
scent, yes. The power of smell is deep. That's beautiful. That's a gift to yourself. It's like a little secret with yourself. And like, yeah, that's great. Think about what makes for a good day for you and just make sure you're doing that. It's not that hard. But these are the things that we deny and we give to other people. And then we stop and say, why am I so angry? Why am I snapping at everybody? Why is every day turning into a bad day? Come back to this list. And then if you're in a good place, you can't help but emit that to everybody you encounter, right? And that is the ripple effect that starts to move the needle, that starts to get us out of this chaos. Okay, another one. Oh, I guess I need to put this over here. This isn't just a reframe on words that I think is really powerful. And I come back to this one sometimes when I'm really hard on myself or when I feel like I've gotten off track. And it's just the reframe of devoted to something versus disciplined about something. I see a lot of women really hard on themselves about I'm not disciplined enough. Right? I'm not exercising. I'm not reading my Bible. I'm not meditating. I'm not organized. And it comes with a punishing tone of I'm doing something wrong. I'm lacking here. And so it might be eating, exercising, I'm not journaling, I'm not finishing projects, I'm not answering emails, I'm not checking in with people enough, I didn't call them, I didn't text them. That all has a very punishing tone. And when we feel punished, it's that idea of kind of whipping ourselves through the day. We're a punching bag for ourselves through the day, and we're super depleted at the end of the day, and that feeds that not enough voice in our heads. So see if you can reframe it into what am I devoted to? So an example would be I'm devoted to health and energy. Okay, what do I need to do to feel my best? You see how that's not punishing, that's hopeful? You're giving your brain a dose of hope right there. Instead of punishing yourself, you're growing into something. So I'm devoted to my morning meditation. That feels so much better than, oh, I have to do my meditation and I'm running late and I don't know if I can squeeze it in. You hear the difference. What do you do? I want to hear, what are you devoted to? What feels like a shift you could make up in a place where you discipline yourself or you feel undisciplined? Where can you switch it to a devotion to something bigger?
I do a devotional, I try to, every morning, and it's interesting because it's such a positive spin on my day. It like frames my day every time, and I feel like it's one of those books where I'm like, oh my gosh, that feels like it was written just for me today. So it feels
Devotion instead
it
of
feels like such a positive word.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're devoted to time with God and time with yourself. That's what that kind of ritual brings. That's a devotion.
Share the one that you like so
Oh,
much.
Jesus Calling is the one I've been reading for a lot of years.
Isn't it amazing how it's so on for the day that you need it?
Yeah.
And yet we're all reading the same one, but it speaks to you today.
Yeah.
Maybe it follows the school schedule too.
Yeah. A woman did write it. That's right.
So true.
What else can you be devoted to? How could you look at communication with people as devotion instead of discipline? What might that be like? Or work?
I think I live with a lot of should-dos, like when you were listing the, I need to follow up with all these folks
Yeah.
that I love, and I don't have the one or two friends. I tend to like have
A bunch?
bunches. We've just lived in so many places
Yeah.
too, and so you want to try to keep, but you have the I should follow up, and connect and, oh, I've been thinking about her and, oh, I've been thinking about, you know. And so instead of that, I've also been known to say a lot, I'm not disciplined at all. So I love the reframing because the devoted piece allows a little more grace, and then that hope piece is,
Yes.
then I can extend and go, hey, how's your day or whatever, or I've been thinking about you, instead of that shaming of I should, because I'm not disciplined to follow up, you know, like all of
Exactly.
the negative side, but I love that.
Perfect explanation of that. Oh, that's such a good example. Yeah.
And you know, at this point in my life, of course, my husband and I are both retired. And if I say, well, I have to do this, I have to do that, he said, Judy, you don't have to do anything.
Exactly.
It is your choice.
That's right.
And so I have to stop and think, okay.
Yep. I'm so glad you brought that up, Judy, because another example of that is have to or get to.
I know,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right? I get to go do that. Those are just such little things that our brain grabs onto, and it sounds like hope, right? I get to go for a walk. I don't have to go for a walk. I have legs that work. That's amazing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I always think that with my children's laundry. I prayed for these children. I get to do their laundry. I try to say it a little more. It takes me a few times to say it sincerely. Yes.
I think it was Irma Bombeck way back
Yeah.
that said when you're cleaning a stool, you're supposed to just say a little prayer. Or if you're ironing your husband's shirts, just say a little prayer.
Say a little prayer for them through gritted teeth.
It's
so-
that way
it's-
at bedtime.
Oh,
When
yes.
kids are
Yes.
losing their minds and I
Yes.
just want to be done. And I'm just like, somebody else to do anything to be doing.
Exactly.
Right. Somebody else not to be screamed at.
Right,
Yeah.
somebody else is trying to
Yeah.
have children. Yes, exactly. Those are important reframes. They really are. It's not to diminish our experience, but it is to give us some perspective. Yeah.
Well, just when I think about the discipline, it seems like two of the things that we beat ourselves up the most around are probably around our health,
Yes.
like the way we eat
Yes.
and the way we,
Yep.
do we exercise enough?
Yeah.
So it seems like even just thinking about the word discipline, I
Yeah.
think for a
Oh,
lot of women, those are the things that
totally.
tend to be the
Yeah.
constant.
So let's brainstorm together. What could we be devoted to with eating and exercise? What would help us feel more motivated to do those things for ourselves? What's the devotion?
Something that shifted for me some years ago was from going from that vanity point was just really discovering, I was really as I was in my career and like exploring what the body can do, is just that it's just incredibly put together, right?
Yes,
It's
it's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Yeah.
And so just looking at any chance to move, any chance to nourish it as a form of worship. And
Yeah.
the fact that going out for that walk is worshiping because you have that instrument to just be able to carry your body, or whether it's that you get to fuel it that way. It just felt different, and it just shifted that perspective a little bit so that there was gratitude in it.
Oh, I love that. Beautiful. Yeah. A form of worship. That's a beautiful devotion. Yeah.
Do you feel that at 5 in the morning? I just want to ask.
He's bonkers.
I know. You and
Bonkers.
you
Work out together,
I
get up
know.
at 4:30 on those mornings.
I just want to know if you feel really thankful.
I mean, that she barrels into you like a puppy that just came out of the kennel. That kind of helps.
I already had some coffee at 5:15.
So I'm grateful that she drank the coffee to knock me
Yes,
out.
that's
Oh,
good.
gosh.
Good question.
She did not get that from me.
So I think for, sticking with the whole exercise and moving and that kind of thing, so I used to be someone that was very more disciplined. And that worked for me at that time, and I feel like as I'm aging, I'm becoming less disciplined. And I think I'm just kind of naturally shifting to more of a devoted perspective because, it used to be like gosh, I need to work out so that I can eat or drink this, or so I can look a certain way, and now I find that, I've just the talk that I'm having with myself is like, I need to move so that I feel better. Like, I just feel like with, whether it's arthritis or stiffness or, pain for all the years of being disciplined activity-wise, that, now I really, so being devoted to helping my body feel as good as it can feel at this point in life. And so doing yoga helps me to feel so much better. Moving, walking, I can't run anymore, but I can walk and being outside to do that. And so, there's just, kind of been this natural shift. And I still struggle. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I should get a a workout routine. I should get this. And it's like, I don't know, that doesn't feel right for me now, but it does feel right to keep reminding myself to think about kind of like your previous list. What will help me to feel better? What will help me to have a good day? What will help me to, lay down at night and not be, aching and whatever. So
Beautiful.
I do feel like as we age, that some of that kind of naturally shifts.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Your body. I mean, just the way things, work or play out, or relationships or whatever, there's just kind of some natural evolution that's happening and shifting. And so I think it helps us to change our perspective on that.
I was just going to add on to that, because that's where I've been lately. And at 60, I'm like going from being so active and doing everything, and then now just being so critical of just the aging process, and you look in the mirror and what you see happening and where did that girl go and all this stuff.
Where did that girl go?
So I'm trying to shift myself to saying, thank you, God, that I get up and I've been doing this for years because it works for me, but to get up and do my routine and working out and meditating and praying and thanking God that I'm still here at 60 and that I can still run or walk or do whatever, even though it's painful, but trying to shift that to being grateful that I still can, because, I'm running into a lot of friends that are having some really serious health issues. And so, it's just a strange time.
Beautiful. And giving yourself permission. But like both of you spoke to that gentleness with yourself. That's a really beautiful thing. That's counter society, right? When Jesus talks about you are not of this world, those are the kinds of things that I feel like he was trying to remind us of in 2022, of this world is all about discipline. We are taught in kindergarten to get your homework in on time, right? And color in the lines and get it right, and that's wrong, and we use a red pen, and it doesn't take long for our brains to be like, oh, I'm bad. And so I think that's the challenge for us, is that compassion you have with yourself in a world that would tell you otherwise. That's beautiful. You both spoke to a gentle permission to do it the way I need to do it. That's a huge act of self-compassion. Beautiful.
I feel like exercise for me has shifted from wanting to look a certain way or do it because I'm supposed to a mental health thing.
Yes.
I'm getting way more mental health benefits from exercise. And I probably was getting those all along, but that's been more the shift of I need to go exercise so that I don't yell at my children.
Exactly. Me too, Stacey. That's my motivation. Yes, I follow a therapist on Instagram who calls it her Blanken mental health walk, and she's like, I gotta go on my Blanken mental health walk so I don't crucify everyone I live with, and that speaks to me too. I'm kinder after that walk. Yeah, and it is. That's the important stuff, and all the research on self-compassion, the work we're talking about is in the realm of self-compassion. Over 20 years of clinical research on this shows when you are more gentle and caring for yourself, you are more gentle and caring in the world. And the research is undeniable on that. And you can know it from your life experience, right? Like if I'm just a little more gentle with myself, I notice I'm a little more gentle with other people. Directly correlated. And that's why this work is so important. It's not, self-compassion gets a bad rap because it sounds like I'm being selfish, or I'm going to get soft and lose my edge, and I'll get walked all over, and that's kind of the myth of it. The truth of it is, it's a very direct line to becoming a more loving person with yourself and everybody around you. That's what Jesus was teaching. Yeah.
I feel like I'm better at whether nutrition or working out if I have a plan.
Yes.
And I just do the same thing. I learned, like, when our daughter was in kindergarten, she always wanted the same lunch, and somebody kind of, it's
Yeah.
okay. So, like, she just eats the exact same three things every
And
single
that's
day.
okay.
But she needed that. You were talking about that, like,
Yes.
routine. Like, that was,
Yep.
she could count on her
Mhm.
lunch.
Yep.
Was gonna be that thing every day, even if I had to go to hen house at 7 a.m. to go
Yep.
get that thing that was out, it had to be there. And then I'm now that way. Like, I'll just be
Yes.
like, my lunch or my breakfast this week, I'm gonna eat this.
Yeah.
So then I eat it, versus if I'm making the kids their special different breakfasts,
Yes.
I won't eat because I'm trying to think of what I want. Versus like,
Exactly.
I'm gonna eat this for breakfast this week, or I'm gonna have salads for lunch this week, and
It's beautiful.
then it's easier
Yeah.
to stay devoted to it.
There's research on anxiety that says doing the same thing every day is very good for anxiety because it's predictable. You take the decisions out. Even like at a restaurant, you don't look at the menu, you just know what you're going to order. And that kind of stuff is very healthy for our overstimulated brains. So if that speaks to you, some people that feels boring to, so that's probably not your lane, but if that speaks to you, if that feels like a relief of like, oh, if I just did the same thing every day, ate the same thing every day, then that you're probably the type that could really benefit from that. I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah, giving kids options is actually anxiety producing. And we live in a world of options, right? What am I gonna watch on YouTube? What am I gonna eat? What am I gonna, like, we think variety is good. Some of the research is showing variety is anxiety producing, which is really interesting. So permission to be boring is granted. Yeah. Good stuff. All right, the next one I want you to think about is when are your best hours? When are you at your best? We can't be on 12 hours a day or whatever we expect of ourselves. The research shows only 4 hours of work are you really productive. In our 8-hour workday or 9-hour, only 4 hours are you really productive. So like, what if you gave yourself permission to say, okay, what 4 hours of my day am I my best? And then let's plan our day around that. So if you're doing work that requires creativity, when am I most creative? Is that when I wake up in the morning? Is that during a walk? Is that at night? There's something about my creative juices start flowing when everyone's in bed. This is a really beautiful act of self-compassion, is to say, okay, this is my brain, this is my body, this is my life. Where are my best hours? And then let's give the people we love those hours. Let's give, like, this came to me, smacked me in the face when my kids were little and I was working like crazy, and my husband said, you're giving your clients your best hours. I was like, oh, I'm coming home exhausted and done and snapping and irritated and short fused, and my worst hours, the people I loved the most were getting. And so I think we all have to check in with this sometimes. And so who deserves your best hours? You included in that list. What deserves your best hours? Where do I want to give my best hours? And how do I want to spend my best hours? Right? We can't be on all day. So let's get into a rhythm of permission to be on this time of the day, and then permission to be off other times of the day. This is how we conserve energy. This is how we give our best selves. This is how we live with less regret. So what comes to mind for you? What are your best hours?
You know what really changes?
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to be 60 again.
Isn't that funny? It's all, and then I look
Yeah.
at these young moms.
Yes, I
and
love
I'm like,
that.
So
Yes.
at 79, I would say that my best hours have totally changed from young
Yeah.
mothers. Because two of my best hours are first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, of course, when you have little children, that's the scurriest time, and when you're going crazy. And then my husband and I always meet at 5:00 in our sunroom for a glass of wine before dinner.
Awesome.
And that's where we
That's a good
Just
hour.
that-
Yes.
those were crazy times when you had 3 teenagers.
Oh, I love
So your life totally changes. And
Yeah.
I think a big thing about staying healthy is being able to change with the patterns of your life.
I love
You
that.
know,
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. It's powerful.
I've joked for years that, you have your early birds and your late night. I have people like that in my family. I'm like, oh, I wish I could get up really early, Brooke. And I wish I could stay up really late.
Yes.
My sister-in-law's. But I have just come to know that I'm a 10 to 2er.
Perfect.
Those are my prime hours.
Perfect. 10 to 2.
So I get a lot done from 10 to 2.
Exactly. That's awesome. That's your power hours.
do you take a nap then?
Sometimes
I take a nap. Don't anybody call me at 3 to 4.
Or at 5 when she's drinking wine.
That's the fun time to call it. That's great. 10 to 2. Power hours. I love it. Who else is kind of realizing when do you thrive?
I see that even in our office, like the 3 of us all work together, and man, our mornings, we get so much done, so it's interesting. I don't know if we're all, Kenny, and yours is a little later, like mine would always be early morning, and in the evening, I'm so done.
Yeah.
I mean, just,
Yep.
and it is hard when you're at the life stage where you have the littler kids that
Yes.
require so much in the evening, because I remember being so exhausted
Yes.
in the evenings, like, oh.
Exactly. And you kind of have to save some of that, as Judy said, with seasons of our lives. Like, this is a season where I need to save some energy. They're going to be gone in a few years to college, and then I can power through. Or I can just veg out at night, right? But not right now. So I have to, and that's, who was it? Who was the author that said, you can have it all, just not all at the same time? Remember that? Yeah. It might have been Irma von Beck or somebody like that. But it was that idea of, and that comes back to me a lot, of like, you could do this piece of your career later, right? You don't have to do it all right now. And right now, you have people that need you in the house. And in a few years, you won't. So I just think those check-ins are really important, to not give it all away and then hurt the people that we love.
She's also the person that said when there's little ones and they're just all going crazy.
Yeah.
She said, I just get them playpen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let
I
it
get-
reverse.
Yeah.
Yes. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah. Anybody else being able, like, really think about what are your best hours? Who's good first thing in the morning in this group? Okay. Who's good midday, 10 to 2? Okay. Okay, a lot of 10 to 2s. Good.
You guys 10 to 2 too?
Yeah, but we were joking because nobody's home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
our best hour is getting our best.
You are, girl.
Stick with that.
I'm my best when I'm alone. Yeah, that's awesome.
What are laundry's getting
I love it.
I did take my husband lunch. He was having a hard day. I felt really good about that.
That's great. Meg. That's awesome. Anybody like 2 to 6? Okay, 6 to 10? Anyone? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I will get a creative kind of mojo going at night. And it's interesting because then I think, well, maybe I should kind of plan for that a little bit. Usually I'm run into the ground. Yeah.
So I've kind of I used to be like early to bed, but part of it was just as a teacher and just having to get up early. But now that I don't have that commitment, total night owl. I mean, it'll be like 9 o'clock and I'll be, kind of sleepy, and then something about, once the kids are in bed and my husband goes to bed, all of a sudden I can get a crazy amount of stuff done. So it's just bizarre just because of, the state in bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's in bed. So
And you're alone. Again,
they've
we're
watched me
seeing a
all
theme.
evening. I've just been dragging through the evening, and then they all go to bed. I'm like,
Game on. Game on.
sorry you guys are missing this, but I mean, Kenyon's just like, and that's like when I do I hope all my friends like turn their phones off when they go to bed, because that's what Kenyon's talking about. Like, I know I'll get a text from Shelby at like
11 o'clock.
She's on
that's
go.
what I'm like, guys. I'm like, everyone have your phones
It's
on
her go
silence,
time.
because that's when I'm gonna.
That's great. So just give that some thought too. We're thinking about balance in a crazy world with a lot of demands on all of us. Think about, how do I help myself through this day? And the last one for today is this idea of grace, space, and pace. And I got this from this in business school. We had to do a paper on brands, and mine assigned to me was Jaguar cars, and I was like, why didn't I get like a fashion brand or something? I don't care about cars. But I found that in their marketing strategy, they were awarded in the 60s, like the best marketing campaign, and it was called Grace, Space, and Pace. And those words have just always been in my head. But Jaguar used it for like elegant cars, spacious seating, and engine, right? The pace. But then when I started coaching people, it popped back into my head of like, oh my gosh, that's a memorable slogan for our own lives of grace, space, and pace. And grace meaning something very different to us as people of faith than an elegant car design. But this could be something that you just kind of put as a seed in your brain and check in. It's another form of check-in of, am I showing people grace, myself included, as we talked about self-compassion a little bit. Where I notice grace getting off track for me is, am I seeing all that's wrong with the world, or am I seeing all that's right with the world? And that is a check-in with me of like, oh, let's go back to grace, Ginger. You just got a little off track and everything became really frustrating. And so find your check-in with yourself of what's your barometer for grace? Right? Am I letting myself off the hook? Am I letting other people off the hook? Am I being gentle? Or am I being harsh? Am I seeing the good, or am I seeing everything wrong? Space is a really important one for us as women. Am I giving myself space? And space to me is just like breathing space, like time with God, stillness. There are days where there is no space built in. And then if I have multiple days like that, it starts to get ugly. So I have to be intentional about, maybe it's just a quiet car drive with no podcast, no music. It's just space to talk to myself, to God, just maybe not think at all and just drive. But are you intentionally giving yourself some space? And then pace. Is this sustainable? As Lori was saying, just noticing, what I could do 20 years ago is different than what I can do today. I've got to change that accelerator a little bit and maybe not be sad about it, but just it's a reality of I'm not going to keep the pace I kept in my 30s. And that's not a failure. That's just a different life choice. Is it sustainable is a question that I see a lot with running ourselves into the ground. Right? We forget this is not sustainable. When we're in the moment and we're powering it out, we think we're accomplishing a lot. It feels noble, like look at all I got done. We're thinking only short term, and we forget to look at how does this play out? If I do this week after week after week, month after month after month, and your barometer for that is when this is over, if you start saying that, you're in dangerous territory because it's never over, right? There's something else coming. So when you say, okay, I just have to get through this month, I just have to get through these 3 weeks, I just have to get, that's a red flag that you're in the unsustainable zone. That's a red flag. Brooke, we've been saying that lately.
Sorry, girls.
Ours is a season.
But then you've got the holidays, right? So we tease ourselves, and that's giving ourselves hope. And as a leader, you're giving your people hope, which is very good. But maybe it's a caution flag, not a red flag. So maybe just wave the caution flag a little bit of, you know what? I'm always saying when this is over. And maybe this is just for a season. But if I'm repeating that over and over again, then I'm starting to go into a pattern. And what we know about life in 2022 is there's always something around the next corner, right? It's never get this done and then I'm gonna chill out. Those days seem to be gone, sadly. And I think the pandemic kind of woke us up to that. Like all of our plans got canceled. Then we made all these great intentions to not return to this pace. And here we are. Actually, a lot of people are in overdrive because we're making up for lost time, or we're excited to get back together, or we're scheduling everything we couldn't do before. So it's interesting, in my office, I'm seeing a ton of burnout already and stress in a post-COVID time period here. So it's just an interesting thing to watch. And then I think that pace, is it sustainable? What is this doing to my health? What is this doing to my inner peace? And what I think as women that we don't honor is that little death by paper cuts, right? It's just, we lose track of that cumulative effect of, I said yes to this, but that's a short-term thing, and I'll say yes to this, but that's over in November, and I'll say yes to this, but that's, and that's death by paper cuts. So just be aware. And it's not that, a lot of us aren't happy when we're idle, so being busy keeps us happy, we think. But I think that's an area to dive into a little bit too, of why is idle a scary thing for me? What does that bring up? Why don't I want to have an empty calendar? There's something scary about that. And look at that a little bit more too, because that's a sign of some self-punishing kind of characteristics that we just want to uncover. But these tools, these 5 things, the inner circle, the daily check-in with yourself, what's your recipe for thriving, devoted versus disciplined, see if you can reframe there a little bit, what are your best hours, and then grace and space and pace. These are just tools that I hope maybe one of them kind of sticks with you and you take and you think, okay, this month I'm really going to be intentional about that. And see if you can just bring in a little bit more calm, a little bit more peace, a little bit of sense of balance, a little less hustle, a little less frazzled, a little less snapping. And in that time, calm your nervous system, talk to God, be more present. That's how we survive in a crazy world. What tool connected with you most today? What resonated with you the most of those 5? Inner circle, daily check-in with yourself, devoted, best hours, grace, space, pace.
I think the inner circle for me, it was really validating because I think that is who I am. So, but our culture is that's countercultural.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
So it feels good to hear the
Good.
importance
You
of
can
it.
do that, yes.
And because I feel like I'm the one who's always putting the brake on a little bit and
Yeah,
not saying yes to everything.
good.
So,
Yeah, permission to make it smaller. Good.
Yeah.
You don't have to do all that. You don't have to take care of all those people.
and I think that comes probably from a place of being a little more introverted.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and post-pandemic now, I'm feeling like everything's opening up. Everybody's doing all the things, and
Yeah.
it's exciting for all those extroverts. Very scary for those more introverted.
Exactly, Meg. Beautiful. That's true. That's a fact. I'm seeing that with people too. That it feels like pressure, and you have permission to not jump into the pressure. Yeah. Beautiful. What else? Which one thing landed with you?
I like the daily check-in. I think that just makes for a more intentional
Yeah.
just day.
Yeah.
And life and, goes from
Yeah.
there.
Good.
And simple and makes sense.
Yeah.
That it's like,
Yeah.
I mean,
3 or 4
right,
things.
right.
What does shopping
Yeah,
need? 3 or
yeah.
4 things today.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I
a
like
it's a
that
game changer.
intention. I like that intention.
Yeah.
And that time, taking that space.
Care for yourself.
And time to,
Yep.
have that internal conversation.
That's right.
And then you're gonna be so
Beautiful.
much more likely
Yeah.
to then play that out.
Yeah.
The level you can.
Beautiful. You just reminded me too of that 5-minute intention, or it could be 5 seconds. There's a healthcare study showing if a doctor in the ER pauses between patients and just says, how am I doing? Do I need a drink? Do I need a water? Do I need, before they go to the next ER bed, the reports of compassion from patients are much higher. So if we just pause and say, what do I need? I need a drink. I haven't been outside today. I just need to walk down the hallway a couple times. If you do that, your next encounter will likely report a more compassionate experience. So keep that in mind too, because it's not selfish, right? Yeah.
I think bringing awareness to the best time of day, because
Okay,
I'm a
good,
morning
good.
person.
Yes.
But by the evening when my kids are
Yes.
done with all their activities, I'm exhausted.
Yes.
So I'm gonna try to be more intentional in the time I'm giving to my
Perfect.
family versus,
Beautiful.
what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Just
Exactly.
being aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big wake up for me of, oh wait, my best hours, I need to save some. Yeah. Good.
And one thing that you all have to look forward to is when you get to be this age, you go, what the heck? I'm less disciplined.
That's right.
I give
What the
myself, I mean, I have big meetings at my house sometimes
Yeah.
for 45 people, and I used to make sure the windows were clean.
Yeah.
Now I go,
What the heck?
yeah. And
love
so
it.
look forward to that. I mean, you really get to the point where you give yourself grace.
Oh,
You
and I
know.
love that.
So,
Happy hour and grace.
I mean, and kind of our age, we all give each other grace.
Oh, I love
We
that.
don't care that much.
That's the
You know?
best.
Yeah.
That's wisdom.
So
Right?
look forward to 80.
Yeah. Truly, that's the
Yes.
wisdom.
Yeah.
That's sage wisdom of what's important.
Yeah. Family
Yeah.
is most important.
Yeah.
That never
Changes. Yeah. Beautiful.
But other things.
Yes. The windows can
Yeah.
go by the side. Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. What else is sticking with you?
I like the devotion piece versus
Okay,
the
good.
discipline. I think as an Enneagram too,
Yeah.
I'm a lot more forgiving to everyone around me than to myself.
Yeah.
And so I think that piece was just really helpful
Good.
in looking at it that way.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, devoted to forgiving myself. That's a good one too. And being forgiving toward myself. That's beautiful.
I'm not really sure where mine falls. It's the ebb and flow of life. I was thinking of a book that this business consultant wrote, but he took all of what he knows in the business world and
Oh,
it's
awesome.
called The 3 Big Questions for a Frantic Family. And he poses the question as, things change on the regular.
Yes.
So just to be mindful, because I'm in a season that's like I would have never predicted of grief and quiet and sadness and not extrovert. I'm a total extrovert and so I think I'm trying to figure out where that falls and for right now the frantic family, the 3 big questions are change of complete my world, a change for maybe one of my kiddos. Like you look at that present moment and what are the big needs.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
I don't know where mine
Yeah.
falls. It's sort of in between
All of it, yeah.
the devoted piece, like what's gonna nourish me
Yeah.
today? Well, I gotta get out and walk, because if I don't,
Yeah.
it's a spiral down
Exactly.
to the bottom. So the dopamine.
Perfect.
But yeah, so but
Yeah.
I love the self-compassion is just
Yeah.
a huge piece to that too. I don't know where that falls, but
It's all of
everything
it.
is very
It's
helpful.
beautiful,
in that.
Amy.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. You're kind of triaging you right now.
Yeah.
My heart is broken.
Yeah.
I need tenderness.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Honestly, if we did even one of those tools, like I think for a lot of us, probably the pace, I know pace for me is a word that I don't do any of it.
I
You
know.
know, because I'm
Right.
you know, like.
We're
so-
sevens.
Yeah, yeah, so I think
Yeah,
just even doing one,
Yeah.
even if you change it up
yeah,
per day, would be so helpful for
Yeah.
us, just to be more mindful,
exactly.
especially of ourselves.
Exactly. And kind of getting our mind and our body connected. Our mind might have all these great ideas, but our body's screaming, no, stop. No. So kind of reintegrating and saying, okay, what can we do today? We have lots of ideas, but what are our priorities?
Yeah.
What can wait? Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you.
And
Yes.
I think, too, for our age and devotion, I think it's hard to be thankful in all things.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we're losing
Yes.
so many people.
Yeah. I know, and grief is such a hard journey, because the thankful for all things would be, I'm so thankful I had this time with them, but it's never enough, right? Like, I'm so thankful I had this time with that person and our lives crossed paths and I got to do life with them, but I want more.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where
Yeah.
devotion, I think,
Yeah.
like you said, first thing in the morning, is so important to try to.
Come back to the center.
Yeah.
Come back to God. Come back to love. Yeah.
And that devotion is hard sometimes, for me at least, in the mornings.
It
because
is.
I'll sit there and start that, and I have Brooke's book, which she gave me, and
Yep.
then my mind starts racing with
I know.
what I'm going to do, or who I need to do this for, or whatever. It's hard for me to center myself.
I'm so glad you said that. I struggle with that too. And I find more centering at night before I go to bed. I can't do it in the morning. Or kind of a midday check-in sometimes with myself. I'll think like, okay, I'm going to talk to God while I have lunch. And that's more what you would describe as a ritual or a devotion time. But I kind of made a practice of laying in bed talking to God before I go to sleep, and that counts as my morning
And you don't
devotion.
ever find yourself falling asleep?
I do, but then I think, well, God knows I need sleep. Yes, but it has improved my sleeping, I think, too. So maybe experiment with different times of the day. It doesn't have to be morning. We talk about it like it should be a morning practice to start your day, but maybe it's an evening practice.
We had a minister who said his best prayer time was when he was driving.
Yeah, yeah, I like that too.
And then I remember somebody else said it's great to start out your devotion with, be still
Yes,
and know
Yes.
that I'm God.
I am God.
And just,
Yeah. One of
because
the
you first have
hardest
to
things.
still all these crazy thoughts before
Yes.
you can,
That's one of the things we're going to talk about is quieting our minds, our racing minds. 1 month we're going to do that because that came.
That would be good.
Okay, maybe we'll do that next month. I'll move that one up.
Good luck.
We'll do that next month.
we failed the centering course we took.
You failed the sentence. There are tricks, I will say. There are tricks. I've had to learn the tricks. Yes.
Clear your mind.
Yes.
I just sit in a dark closet at times trying to.
Yeah. Okay, I'll teach you some tricks. We'll move that one up till next month. It just got promoted. Thank you all. We'll see you in November, and we'll work on quieting our minds.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Such good tools.
Absolutely.